It is the legend, Rob Reiner. By the way, you look amazing. So handsome.
Let's not get carried away.
No, I will not, because...
Come here, doggy.
It's Douglas. You want to come out?
Come here, doggy.
I mean, you have such a profound place in my life. I feel like you're one of the most important filmmakers because you show how to not go the obvious route.
Well, I like to make films that are like a full meal. I mean, there has to be humor, there has to be emotion, there has to be something that it says. When I ask people, they go to the movie theater. Now they don't go as much. I hope you go to see the movie I just made, Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues. But people are not going. They're not going with it. And I read, I made movies for people to sit together and enjoy an experience. I read this book by, it was Frank Capra, who wrote this, great Frank Capra, the director who wrote
It's a Wonderful
Life. And he said in the book, you're asking people to pay money to go sit in a darkened room with total strangers for 2 hours. You got to give them something.
Yeah.
You got to give them something. You got to give them something that they're moved, they're laughing, they're connecting to each other. That's the way I approach it. I try to anyway.
Well, do you mind if we just dive right into my favorite game, Behind the Scenes?
Go ahead.
It's Behind the Scenes with Rob Reiner. Now the true personality is going to come out. I can't contain it. Okay, let's start with All in the Family, which you starred in.
Yes. This show, and I'll just tell you about it. It was on we were about a country of about 200 million people. Every single week for 5 years, 40 to 45 million people every week watch this show.
Yeah.
Now, and they had to watch it when it was on.
Yeah.
Because there was no DVR, there was no TiVo, there was no video cassettes. You had to watch it when it was on. You shared it with everybody else. And that, to me, is impact. Right now, we have shows there, if 5, 10 million people watch, it's all of a sudden, it's a big hit. And you don't watch it at the same time.
No.
So anyway, this was the first show I did.
Well, it was also a very important show because Norman Lear had come onto the scene and wanted to make different television. He wanted to tell everyone's story. He wanted to talk about themes that people didn't want to discuss. He was an envelope pusher. He was an advocate. He really cared about doing things differently, and you were all at the epicenter of that with your father, the incomparable Carl Reiner. Okay, so your dad, who brought everything from the Dick Van Dyke Show to the table to my favorite film, almost one of the top, 10 films that I've ever gotten to see, The Jerk.
The Jerk, yes.
His dad directed The Jerk.
He also did four movies with Steve Martin. One of them was All of Me. Now, this is a really cool thing. All of Me came out in 1984. The first movie I ever directed was This Is Spinal Tap, which was a satire of rock and roll bands. That came out in 1984. They both came out in 1984. And there were those top 10 lists, at the end of the season. We were both on a ton of top 10 lists. My dad's All of Me and This Is Spinal Tap. And I never heard of a father and son who had movies that were top 10 in the same year or ever. And it really is. listen, my dad lives with me in my mind all the time. He's with me. And Norman Lear, you mentioned, he's like a second father. I'm lucky to have had two mentors. My father and I, we're on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, right next to each other.
Really?
Yeah. And
that's rare.
yeah, and then
that's not hard. That's not easy to get.
No, and then
us Barrymores are blocks apart.
Well, I know you come from a family too. You understand this.
Yeah.
What this means, and then the theater, which is where you put your hands and your footprints in the cement. We did it together. Oh. Yeah, we did it together, and so, and we both have bald heads, so we were thinking we'd put our heads in but they didn't want us to do that, so we didn't.
I'm surprised because my grandfather, John Barrymore, put his face in the cement because he was known as the Great Profile. So his face
wow, that's right.
is in there.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so can I please ask you about, honestly, if I had to say a number one favorite movie of all time, there is no question for me it would be When Harry Met Sally. I think that if I had to point to like what I think love looks like, it's that film.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah, it's about friends becoming best friends and lovers. I mean, and how does that happen? And you know, there's a very famous scene in the movie where Meg Ryan fakes an orgasm in Katz's Deli, and my mother is the woman who says, "I'll have what she's having." And Billy Crystal wrote that line.
Did you know, making that film, that it was going to be this sort of like ultimate film when we talk about love, romance, all of it, that we would point to that? You
know, you never know. I mean, you know, when you did E.T., do you think that was going to be the biggest thing ever?
No.
You don't know.
You're right.
You don't know. When you're making the movie, you're just making a movie. So you don't know what's going to happen. But here's what I'm hearing. I hear people put the movie on at 10:30 at night on New Year's Eve. So because they time it so that it hits New Year's Eve at the same time that Billy Crystal comes in and professes his love.
Was that always the original ending?
No, the original ending, and I'm completely honest,